In 2007, scientists bolted a tray of tiny animals to the outside of a spacecraft, slid the lid open, and left them there in the raw vacuum of space. No suit, no shield, no atmosphere. For 10 days, they were blasted by cosmic radiation and unfiltered sunlight, the kind of exposure that shreds any normal living thing to pieces. Then, the scientists brought them home and added a few drops of water. And the animals got up, walked around, and laid eggs. They are the only animals ever known to survive open space. And the way they did it should be impossible. This is a tardigrade, a water bear. It's about 0.5 millimeter long, smaller than a grain of salt, with 8 stubby legs and a strange, almost cuddly face under a microscope. They're everywhere, in moss, in soil, in the film of water on a leaf in your backyard. You have almost certainly stood within a few feet of thousands of them. They look utterly unremarkable, but this speck of an animal holds a record nothing else on Earth can claim. It survived the one place that is lethal to all known life, directly, unprotected, with no help at all. Space. Now, you've probably heard that tardigrades are indestructible, the toughest animals on the planet. And that framing isn't just wrong, it's backwards. The tardigrade did not survive space by being tough. It survived by doing the exact opposite of what tough means. And by the end of this, you'll see that its secret exposes something genuinely strange about what being alive even is. And it might be the key to humans surviving the journey to another star. To understand the trick, you first have to understand the threat. We imagine space kills you with cold, but that's not really it. Space is deadly because it attacks the machinery of a living body. The vacuum tears the water out of you, and your cells, which are mostly water, collapse. Radiation and raw ultraviolet light shatter your DNA into fragments and tangle your proteins into useless knots. Space doesn't so much freeze you as take apart the delicate, wet chemistry that being alive depends on. Every living thing runs on that chemistry. Disrupt it, and life simply stops. That is why space is a death sentence.
So here is what the tardigrade does. When conditions turn deadly, drying out, freezing, the void, it doesn't brace itself. It shuts down. It squeezes almost all of the water out of its own body, more than 95% of it gone. It pulls in its head and its 8 legs and curls into a tiny, shriveled, dried-out ball called a ton. And in that state, its metabolism drops to less than 1/100th of 1% of normal, essentially zero. It stops eating, growing, aging, reacting. It has in every... And this is the quiet genius of it. Think about what space does. It destroys the chemistry of a living body. But you cannot destroy a chemistry that has already stopped. There is no delicate water-based machinery for the vacuum to rip apart, because the tardigrade has already, deliberately, removed its own water. There is almost no living process for the radiation to overwhelm, because almost nothing is happening at all. The vacuum wants to dry it out, but it's already dry. Space wants to shut it down, but it's already off. The tardigrade survives the most hostile place imaginable, but drying out should kill you. For almost any cell, losing its water is fatal. So as the water leaves,
The tardigrade replaces it. It floods its cells with special proteins found in almost nothing else alive. Proteins that take the place of water and lock everything into a stable, glass-like solid. Its whole body becomes a kind of living glass, holding every fragile part perfectly in place, unable to move or break. And it carries molecular tools, like a protein nicknamed damage suppressor, that wrap around its DNA and shield it from radiation. When scientists put that single protein into human cells, those cells took 40% less damage from radiation. The tardigrade isn't armored on the outside. It's protected from within, at the scale of molecules. And here is the unsettling thing this tiny animal reveals. We think of being alive as our strength, the state that lets us survive. But the tardigrade shows the opposite. Being alive, wet, warm, your chemistry constantly running, is actually the fragile state. It's exactly what makes you vulnerable to the vacuum, the radiation, the cold. The tardigrade is at its most vulnerable when it is most alive. And it is at its safest when it is least alive, dried into glass, switched off, closer to a seed or a speck of dust than to an animal. To conquer the deadliest environment in the universe, it didn't become tougher. It very nearly stopped being a living thing at all. And that flips how we think about surviving space ourselves. We imagine conquering it with brute force, bigger rockets, thicker shielding, more technology. The tardigrade did it with surrender. It opted out of the fight entirely by pausing life. And that is exactly the strategy we are now racing to copy. Scientists are studying its proteins to shield astronauts and cancer patients from radiation. They're studying its shutdown to ask whether a human could be paused, placed into true suspended animation for the centuries-long voyage to another star, arriving without having aged a day. It may even hint at how life itself could cross the galaxy. So picture them one more time. That tray of tiny, dried-out specks bolted to a spacecraft, tumbling through the black vacuum for 10 days. Not fighting, not struggling, not even in any real sense alive. Just waiting. Held in glass, switched off, indifferent to the radiation in the void, because there was nothing left inside them for space to break. And then, a few drops of water back on Earth, and they simply got up, walked away, and made more of themselves. The toughest animal in the known universe turns out not to be tough at all. Its secret is the strangest survival strategy there is. It knows when the universe turns deadly exactly how to stop being alive, and exactly how to begin again.